Agency Life Internships Assessment 1 podcast. In this, we'll be going through your PDP, midterm PDR vlog, and your Equiform. These are three elements of your portfolio which would constitute Assessment 1, and this overall constitutes 40% of this unit's grade. This is due in by the 13th of December 2017 at 8:30pm. But within this, you do have a milestone of your PDP to submit by the 29th of November. This is so you can get some feedback on this to make sure your objectives are really good, really firm, and something that you can review in your midterm PDR vlog. So your midterm PDR vlog will also be a 4 to 5 minute video, and you'll be doing an employer work quality assessment form, and this will be completed by your employer and submitted either by yourselves or your employer by the due date. So the first task that you need to complete, and this is by the 29th of November at 8:30pm, is you need to complete a simple form. This will be with your employer. You'll need to sit down with them and set some outcomes of what you do want to achieve by the end of your internship. And these are going to be split into three sections. The first section is attitudinal, where you'll set what attitudes do you want in the workplace. Is it that you want a proactive attitude, a professional attitude? What is it that your employer wants from you? And they'll set some systems in place and some mentors in place and deadlines in place for you to achieve this. Behaviourally, you'll also be setting some outcomes. So it might be that you need to be able to work as part of a team, be able to communicate with different people within the agency, so senior managers, clients, colleagues, other interns, which all demand different behavioural characteristics. And you'll finally be setting some competency outcomes. So this is what you're going to be delivering in your internship. And this will be very different for each internship. So some will be very content based and be delivering blog posts. Others will be doing pay-per-click and will be delivering reports, talking to clients. And it will very strongly depend on the internship that you have applied for and agreed with your employer. So you'll need to sit down and do this over the next few weeks and make sure this is submitted by the 29th of November. This will then be looked over by a tutor to make sure these objectives have clear outcomes, they have clear evidence that you can provide, and that you have highlighted this so you will be able to submit all of your courseworks on this unit, which are reviews of this. So what you need to do is go onto Moodle, find the professional development plan area, which is about the second section on the Moodle page. In this, you'll find the PDP form that you need to complete, a guide for you and your employer to help you complete this form, a question form if you have any specific questions, and the submission link. What I would like to say is that this professional development plan is seen as a working document and is something that you can update at any time within your internship. So please don't feel like you need to stick to these objectives. As it is a fluid working environment, they may change and you may change your objectives. So looking at the next piece of work, you will be doing a 4 to 5 minute vlog assessing how far you have come in your internship so far by the 13th of December and identifying what you still need to learn and what you're going to have to achieve by the time that you finish this internship and this unit to achieve either a placement year or be really set up for that graduate job that you need to be starting to apply for in the early part of your third year. So just as a quick reminder, 8:30 on the 13th of December is the absolute deadline for this. Any submissions after that will be classed as a 0. So the question part 1, you need to think about it. You're going to be submitting either answering A or B. A is if you have achieved some outcomes and that you can identify at least one significant attitudinal, behavioural or competency outcome from your PDP that both you and your agency life manager believe you have achieved. And through this you'll have to justify this and provide some evidence. Or if you don't feel like you've achieved enough from your PDP to display one from each of these sections, it might be that you need to highlight outcomes that you should have achieved by this point, but have yet to do so. And with this, you'll be identifying what has caused you to delay achieving these outcomes, and also identify and justify the solutions that will allow you to achieve this by the time that you complete this unit. Then, in part 2 of your video, which will be 4 to 5 minutes, you will be identifying at least one attitudinal, one behavioural and one competency outcome from your PDP you have not achieved yet, but you do intend to achieve by the end of your internship. And what this is you need to think about it. You need to think about what you want to do next year, and as a graduate, which of these are going to be your priority outcomes in each of these sections. And you'll need to identify evidence, highlight some risks, and an action plan to make sure that you're going to achieve these by the time that you leave this internship. And this is so you are looking forward, and it'll be an opportunity for you to bring in some of your references around looking at job specs, or looking at graduate specs, or looking at industry reports that show you what you need to do by the time you graduate, by the time that you're in these placement opportunities, to be able to achieve what you want to. So to tackle this first problem, you're going to be looking at outcomes that you have actually achieved or some that you haven't. Either of these questions are equally good, but you need to think about them. You need to think carefully. Have you achieved enough outcomes, and one from each attitudinal, behavioural and competency that you had set yourself by this Christmas period? If not, you will need to consider whether or not it would be better for you and your coursework to review outcomes that you should have achieved but haven't, and highlight why you haven't done this. So let's just look really clearly how to tackle each of these. So we're going to start out with outcomes achieved. So this is if you were answering question A of part 1. Okay? So identify which outcomes you have achieved. So you need to think about this carefully. One attitudinal, one behavioural and one competency, because we need you to do more than one outcome, and preferably one from each section to show the whole round of your professional development through this unit. And you'll need to think which of these that you have highlighted and you have achieved. So first of all, in your video, we need you to highlight which outcome you have met, which section it is from, and explain a little about this outcome. So in your own words, and not in buzzwords and not in short sentences, we want you to explain clearly what this outcome has actually meant to you, how you have achieved this, explain the significance to you and your professional development of you achieving this, and what evidence you can provide to me as your assessor, but most importantly to a future employer in a job interview or on a job application to show that you have achieved this outcome. So within this, you can either on your screen through screenshots or through recording the screen, you can display your evidence, or if you prefer, you can attach it as a PDF separate to this in an appendices. So you need to think carefully about what evidence you're going to show. So for example, if you're going to be doing a competency outcome of a blog post, you could do a screenshot of the blog post or show the screen of you scrolling through the blog post that is live on the website as proof that you have done this and this is a live thing. And you need to make sure that you are achieving a discussion around an outcome from each section. So if you look carefully at the marking scheme around this, to get into the 60s, to get into the 70s, to get into the 80s, it discusses that you need to be talking about more than one and one from each section. So we need you to be doing this and to be giving justifications and clear critical analysis of this evidence and why it relates directly to this outcome to be getting these highest grades. So then if you choose not to do this question in the first one, you'll be highlighting outcomes that you've not achieved, which is section B. So you do A or B. So if you choose B, this is outcomes that you've not achieved. And once again, we want you to do more than one. And one from each outcome section. So this means, can you highlight an outcome from attitudinal, behavioural and competency that you have not achieved, that you should have achieved by this point? and try and identify what has stopped you from achieving this outcome. So once again, we want you to explain the outcome and what this meant to you as an individual, why you picked to do this outcome, and what has stopped you from meeting this outcome. And what is really important at this point is that we're looking at your critical analysis and your reflection. So it's not all about blaming someone else or blaming a scenario. It is about reflecting. And what we do know is that it's never one reason why a student hasn't achieved an outcome, and it's normally a combination of these. So we kind of say there's a rule of three. Highlight 3 reasons why you have not achieved this outcome, and from this identify the number 1 cause and explain why out of those 3 causes of you not achieving this outcome, that is the number 1 and that has stopped you achieving this. And it might be this point when you need to reflect and analyse, is there going to be an action plan that you can put in place to make sure you do achieve this by the time you graduate or by the time that you finish this unit? So you need to think about that carefully. So think about it, and you will need to do this. You'll need to repeat it for 1 attitudinal, 1 behavioural and 1 competency to get the best marks. So you need to think about this. You're going to be thinking about what has stopped you achieving these goals. So for maximum points, do more than 1. Explain why getting around these issues that you've highlighted is going to make you achieve these outcomes by the time that you finish this internship or by the time that you go into a placement year or complete a placement year, and explain why this action plan for you to achieve these outcomes will work. Why is it realistically? And it might be that you want to come up with a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and identify the number 1 plan A. If this doesn't work and why, we'll fall back on plan B and C. So think about this carefully and frame it very carefully around the outcomes that you have just discussed and the causes that you've just highlighted for not achieving them. So then, moving on from section 1, which will be answering section A or B, you'll be going on to the part 2 and question 2, where everyone has to answer this section. And this will be you looking at outcomes, your next outcomes that you're going to have to complete by the time that you are finishing this unit. And this is where you need to really carefully reflect on what you want to be doing in the next 6 months, the next 8 months, and the next 12 months. Because what we want you to do is highlight 1 attitudinal, 1 behavioural, and 1 competency outcome that you need to achieve by the time that you finish this unit for your own professional development, for your own goals. So we know a few of you are going to want to go into placement years. So what are these placement jobs asking for? What are these job specs requiring you to display? And it might be that you don't want to go into a placement year and that you're looking forward to your level 6 units and your graduate jobs. So what is it that they're asking for? So you need to do a bit of research and make sure that you're getting yourselves into the position that you are meeting the outcomes that will make you achieve your goals. So at this point, once you pick the outcomes that you want to discuss and that you've got your big goal, we want you to explain a little bit around this outcome. So in your vlog, we want you to sit there and discuss these outcomes and why it's going to be really significant for you. And this is where you'll be bringing in your ambitions, your goals, your references, your links to websites, your links to industry reports that highlight the skills that you're going to need by the time that you're applying for these positions. So this is where you can bring in some industry sources and apply them to your professional development review and your reflection. And it'll be a great opportunity for you to think, right, how am I going to evidence this in an interview or a job application? And you'll have to evidence it as part of this assignment. But the assignment is set up to test you and make you think about where is this evidence going to come from? And how am I always going to prove that I've achieved these outcomes that are so important to my professional development? So you'll be setting up these outcomes, you'll be discussing them, you'll be telling me why they're significant, and you'll be discussing the evidence that you can provide to show that you have achieved this outcome and why that directly correlates to this outcome. And you'll be doing that as part of this. And you'll be doing this for one attitudinal, one behavioural and one competency. And within this, we will be asking you to also consider within each of these competencies, what's going to stop you achieving your attitudinal goal? What's going to stop you achieving your behavioural goal? What's going to stop you achieving your competency goal? So we need you to think about each of these outcomes. What's going to stop you? And for maximum points in this area and to get the best marks, what I want you to do is tell me more than one reason why you might not achieve this. And it's not about blaming people, it's about highlighting things like lateness, natural sickness patterns, the fact that you'll have other courseworks coming up, the fact that you might have personal circumstances going on. There'll be lots of reasons why life may get in the way of you achieving these outcomes, and you need to be aware of that to be able to overcome them. So what we want you to do is look at these causes and highlight the number one cause which is most likely to happen to you and explain why this is the number one and justify this and why this will directly stop you achieving this specific outcome. And then it's all about getting you to really consider trying to find out ways to get around this stopping you. So what we want you to do here is set up your action plan, set up your plan A, your plan B and your plan C to get around these causes that are going to stop you achieving these outcomes. So we need you to highlight your causes and highlight your solutions to these causes. So please make sure that you are highlighting more than one cause and more than one solution and why which solution will be the most important. So within this, that is your entire 4 to 5 minute video vlog. You're going to be going through section 1, which is answering question A or question B, outcomes achieved, outcomes not achieved, and you'll be discussing them. And then section B of this vlog will be all about looking forward to this next term, what outcomes you need to achieve, where you want to be at the end of this internship, what you want to do later on, and how you can make sure that you are achieving this by being aware of what can cause you to not meet these and being aware of the plan A, plan B, plan C to make sure that you do always achieve these outcomes that you've set for yourself. So this is a 4 to 5 minute vlog. Anything more than 5 minutes, it will not be marked. But within a 4 to 5 minute vlog, you will be able to get a lot of information across. But please make sure that your full name, your student ID number is somewhere on the vlog to make sure that we can always award you the marks, and ensure that your vlog is publicly available on YouTube and that your link is submitted to the correct forum on Moodle, and this is within the coursework section. You will also be allowed to give in a page of citations, references and appendices that can be submitted as a PDF or MS Word in a doc or docx file format as additional evidence, as additional support, as your reference list. So you don't need to interrupt your vlog with this if that is not the creative style that you want to go down. Please make sure though at this point that you do not submit an open Office 360 file and that it is actually saved in a .x, doc or PDF format, as Moodle doesn't accept other formats. So this is the point where you need to really think about it. Do you want to be submitting an extra document with appendices on it? Or do you want to be putting screenshots within your vlog? Do you want to be doing screen recordings within your vlog and editing this together? You need to think about this carefully, because you don't have to submit an additional document. but it is there as an option to give you some creative flexibility. But please remember both your evidence, if you choose to do one, a reference list, if you choose to supply one, should be submitted by the Moodle forum on the submission box by 8:30 on the 13th of December 2017. So in addition to this 4 to 5 minute vlog, you will be submitting an employer work quality assessment, and this is the form that is available on Moodle already. This form will also be sent directly by one of your tutors to your employer as a blank version. And this is for them to sit down and really carefully reflect on where you've started from and where you're at this moment. And what they'll be doing is marking you out of 100% on 3 areas of professionalism, your behaviour and what you've delivered. So you need to think carefully about that. Have you attended all your internships? Can you make up days? Is there anything you can do now between now and Christmas to make sure that is the best reflection of what you are and how you are achieving your outcomes, and that you are having an ongoing discussion with them to make sure that this is going to be a really, really great mark for you. This must be submitted as soon as you receive it in the appropriate assignment submission part of Moodle. This will be sent to your employers in the first week of December, and they'll have until the 13th of December to either fill it in and send it back to myself and tell you that they're going to do that, or fill it in and send it back to you for you to submit on Moodle. But it's for you to have a discussion with your employer whether or not they want to send it directly to me, therefore you do not have to upload it, or if you're going to upload it for them. And if you are not going to upload it, on the Moodle link that is there is a section where you can add comments, and please leave a comment in there saying, my employer has indicated that they're going to send it to the tutor directly. This is really important because it means that we won't be chasing you for this form, we'll be chasing the employer for this form. So that will be worth 30% of your unit grade in this coursework. And your other submission, which is your vlog, will be worth 70%, and overall together that's 40% of the unit, and that'll be all submitted on the 13th of December. So if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We have the Moodle forum set up, that'll be checked quite regularly, and we will also be running in the feed forward sessions that will be available in the drop-ins each week, where you can come and ask questions, you can show me your vlog, you can talk about the scripts, you can come through and ask some creative suggestions around how to edit videos. And as a tutor, I'll be sat there on the Monday and the Tuesday. So that's everything that we want to say in the podcast. Any questions, any queries, Moodle, email, feedback in the drop-in sessions. We're always there to help you. This podcast will be available on the Moodle area for the entirety of this unit, so please keep listening to it if you've got anything that you want to look back at, and we will be discussing it in the drop-in sessions, and we'll be trying to support you through feed forward. Thank you.